Well, here we are. Um, I'm just going to introduce myself first. My name is India Amara Nicholls, and I am a very good friend of Natalie. And then we've decided to have this conversation so that some people who are a little bit more connected, I guess, through my channels, can get an opportunity to understand what we are offering and what I get to participate and contribute to. Natalie is kind of, I don't know, can I call you the like guide or leader of this like overarching, I mean, you're putting it together, overarching teacher training. I'm going to put that in the little buffer zone. Um, but yeah, I get to contribute by being a support for the teaching along the way. And so we're here to kind of share what yoga is to us, maybe, or what yoga is to me, and what Tantra is, and why I obviously, as I smile so much, feel so passionately about it. And I think you'll be the supportive role in the conversation, kind of. So, the people that are finding this little nugget of info and visuals and combo likely have encountered me personally, meaning most people have either taken class with me at some point, um, taken the opportunity to get tattooed by me, which is a lot of people, hopefully, that will maybe check this out, and or people who have encountered me in different ways. That could be socially or all sorts of ways. Anyway, but if you have encountered me, likely you know that I'm a nerd about all of this stuff because once you start asking me about it, I can't stop talking about it. And if you've encountered me, likely you've experienced some version or some little flavor or experience of what yoga and Tantra are to me. So, in the tattoo session, especially if you've been tattooed in the past year or two, you've experienced meditation. And you've experienced that through actually the process of tattooing or kind of meditating the whole way, uh, which is a phenomenal skill. And uh, the beautiful thing about yoga and tantra is that it is, I say this, but it is the complement to literally everything in life. And so through my study and through my practice, I've wonderfully acquired some skills and some techniques that I've become intimate enough with that I can share because I don't feel like I know it completely because I every time I practice it or share it, I learn another layer to it or another insight. So it is the term a living practice is something that I really love. So it is a really alive thing, which that aliveness, which is something that I reference in a lot of the meditations that I share, that aliveness is Shakti, which we are doing a teacher training called Śakti Sādhanā. And so sadhana is another jargon word for people who don't know. Sadhana is generally your self practice. So something, or how I understand it anyway, it's like you're engaged within yourself and otherwise with your community and maybe people who are guiding you along the way. And so I've acquired all these little nuggets, gold nuggets that I get to share. And most people who have experienced them with me usually have like a can feel it, whatever that means. That mean they feel supremely calm for the first time in a long time, or they feel like they've got a, a brighter perception, or maybe some people through tattooing have found the tools to overcome the parts that are very uncomfortable. And yes, pain is obviously a part of that discomfort, but it's actually so much more here. And once we use the practice to like I try not to use the Sanskrit terms, but to try to encourage our brain to calm down or smooth or ease, then the whole experience gets smoother, calmer, easier. I feel like I'm rambling. Do you have any
Big fan of rambling. I feel like so much yummy goodness can come out of the rambles when we kind of talk around something and then people glean from it what they want to or need to. But I think you're hitting a lot of the really important points of the why of engaging with this content. And I think that the why, at least in my personal opinion and based on my personal experiences, is the thing. That's the question to ask of why would I want to invest my time, my energy, potentially my money into an experience of whatever is on offer here. And so exploring that is probably the most important thing. And so much of what you're touching on kind of harkens back to one of the definitions of the word tantra, which basically means to be touched, like to have your heart touched in such a way that you're at least subtly different than you were before that happened. Like something has shifted within you. And that's so much of what we are aiming to facilitate, cultivate, and not just have it be like a once in a lifetime, have your heart be touched, but getting to the point where your heart is touched on a continuous basis, at least once a day, as you're connecting inward through your own personal practice, through typically meditation, but there are so many different things that can prepare your body and your mind for an experience of meditation. And once that starts to happen on a regular basis, where you're experiencing basically yourself, stripped of all of the constructs of who you have come to know yourself to be based on your personal history, your personality, what society has assigned to you. When all of that gets peeled away and you get to just be with yourself in a practice like meditation, when you go back out into the world, you're that much more open and vulnerable while stronger at the same time. And so you can engage with the world in a more intimate and poignant way. And you wind up feeling that experience of your heart being touched or your mind opening sometimes on a daily basis in through the simplest of encounters, like seeing a beautiful leaf, poised just so hanging from a tree, or just noticing again how adorable your dog's nose happens to be, or whatever whatever it is. The taste of raw local honey just is so much sweeter, and you can feel like the magic in each of those different experiences. That is what a practice of tantra opens us up to. So for people that are coming to this possibility of joining what could be considered a kind of intimidating prospect of a 10-month tantric yoga teacher training and immersion, like there's so many words in that title that could be off. 10 months, first of all, that's really challenging a lot of our commitment and attention span, especially if it's something that we just don't know that much about. Like it's a big leap to take. And then Tantra, what the heck is it? Like we hear a lot of sort of Western appropriated versions of Tantra out there that seem like it's maybe not for me. So trying to understand what that word actually is. And then yoga, which again is something that is wildly misunderstood in the West. And then teacher training. So, okay, it's 10 months. I don't even know what Tantra is, but it kind of freaks me out. I think I know what yoga is and not interested in stretchy pants. And teacher training, I'm supposed to become a teacher of this thing. So let's see if we can deconstruct it a little bit. So is a several thousand-year-old basically way of engaging with life. It is a worldview that everything in reality every aspect of ourselves and everything in reality is divine, and that every aspect of reality is a unique expression of a singular reality, an absolute that out of sheer joy and playfulness and enthusiasm and curiosity breaks down into this, multitude of diverse expressions in order to be able to experience herself. And we are all a branch of that expression. Everything is, every single thought, every feeling, every encounter, every person, every rock, everything that exists within reality is divine. And our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to work with our bodies and our minds to peel back the layers of confusion that are keeping us from being able to perceive reality as it is, so that when we are able to recognize reality as divine and become established in that recognition, then everything in our life becomes beautiful and sacred. And even in the midst of the most profound sorrow, we're still infused with an undeniable joy and gratitude for being alive. So that's basically what Tantra is. And there are so many different ways to engage with it. One of those ways is yoga. And yoga is basically the science to help us access the magic that is Tantra. And yoga is a systematic way of working with the very many layers of being that we are. So we start often with our physical body. We work with our breath. We work a lot with our minds. It's predominantly a mental practice that then helps us to transform the mind from the thing that we sort of live in service to the mind becoming our greatest asset and our most valuable tool for exploring internally and rediscovering who and what we truly are at the level of the soul. So yoga gives us a systematic, scientific way to navigate that. It is a spiritual practice. It is not a religion. So it's beautiful in that because it is just a systematic scientific approach to exploring all of the nuances of who we are, it can really be kind of applied to and paired with whatever spiritual belief system you already subscribe to. I think that's a really beautiful element as well, because all of the major spiritual philosophies and practices are basically geared toward bringing us back to a realization of truth, as is yoga. It's just that yoga is both a philosophy and a set of practices. And so, at least for me, I have found it to be more holistic and complete. So I not only have these ideas of what reality is and what the true nature of humanity is, I also have this step-by-step approach to experiencing it directly for myself. So there's Tantra, there's yoga, 10 months, because this is thousands of years worth of philosophy and practice. And within 10 months, we're still barely scratching the surface, but it is enough of a scratch of the surface to give you a very strong, very real felt sense and intellectual understanding of what it is that we're engaging with. Ideally, to set ourselves up for lifelong studentship so that we are hungry for more. We're both satisfied and hungry for more. Now, the immersion part, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. We are diving in, and we're going to invite all of the participants to dive in as deeply and as thoroughly as they are currently comfortable doing. And that might mean that you take on a daily practice, which will be supported by us as teachers throughout the 10 months. It might mean that you just touch base once a month for the live offerings and you take what you can this year, but then you have access to this content for the rest of your life, which is one of the perks of it being a virtual offering. So that's immersion. It's not just a skimming, and it's not just an intellectual analysis of ancient wisdom. It's a way of actually slipping into it and inviting it into ourselves, and ideally becoming embodied with the wisdom that we'll be studying. So then the teacher training part, there are so many people that go through teacher trainings that have no desire to ever teach yoga and never do wind up teaching yoga. It's just a funny thing at this point in time with the way that yoga is being taught in the West, that the big introduction to what yoga really is usually takes place in a teacher training, because that's when people can justify investing that amount of time and money and energy into something. Well, what am I actually going to get out of it on the other end? That's just kind of, I think, because of like the capitalistic mentality that we are all functioning in. There's if I'm going to give this much, what do I get back? Besides, life-changing philosophy practices, you also can receive a certificate that says that you are now legally allowed to teach yoga. And that is something that, according to current standards, requires 200 hours of study through a registered yoga school, which we happen to be. So if you do feel like yoga has touched your life in such a way that you feel compelled to share that with anyone else on any level, then it might be that you are a yoga teacher in the making. And that could be that you're sharing yoga in I'm not even going to say a traditional setting, because what we're doing in the West is far from traditional, this whole yoga studio thing. It could be that you are sharing yoga in a traditional way, one-on-one with one other person, that you are sharing directly your experience with another student. It could be that you're teaching in a yoga studio. It could be that you are teaching your child how to calm their mind, and that they are more than a body and a mind, and how to nurture who they are at their essence. It could be that you work at a hospital and someone comes in who is on the verge of a panic attack, and you're able to teach them very basic scientific approaches to breathing that allow them to calm their nervous system so that they can then engage on a level of higher consciousness, like actually being conscious of what is going on around them. It could be that you're guiding clients through meditation as you're tattooing them. It could be any number of things. Chatting philosophy while you're pouring somebody a drink as their bartender. Like, there really is no limit to the role that we have the opportunity to play as teacher to someone else, and as the one that is constantly being taught. If you can approach life that everything, everyone, every experience is a teacher, then we all are. And this might just give you some more philosophies to draw from and practical techniques to share with yourself and with others when the opportunities present themselves. Now I've rambled.
I mean, excellently, though. That was fantastic. We touched on, I think, everything we were hoping for. I mean, yeah, I think I wanted to support and reiterate that I think the title teacher training is I mean, all those words are intimidating, but teacher training is, I feel like a lot of people just like read that and they kind of turn away. But in my experience, because I've done several teacher trainings, it's such a phenomenal gift to yourself to really devote that time and energy and money, which is also energy, into understanding yourself and understanding how you work and why things are beneficial in this practice or what works for you at different times. It's helped me understand how I fit into the infinite and intricate web of life and why I am here ish. You know what I mean? With the understanding that that understanding of why I am here is ever evolving, and I'm ever humbled by it and ever curious and always learning. So, but I think taking an opportunity like this, whether it's this one or something else, but taking the opportunity and the time to pour in and dive in the way you're saying, it just it opens life in a way that I could never have accessed before. And the the power to understand my own contentment, or the ability to access how to change my energetic abilities or my experience, my perception. Like there's so many gifts. I mean, like we could both go on, I think, for days probably. But it's such an opportunity to, yeah, learn on a soul level. You said something like that. And it just, in our day and age of capitalism and all sorts of challenge, strife, adversity, concerns, there's a lot going on in the days that we are alive in. And tuning into something that's so ancient but bigger than us, like this is so much bigger than I can even fathom, but tuning into that Shakti or that aliveness or that, you know, for me, one of those words is faith, but it's not faith as in a religious term. It's like faith in nature herself, which to me is Shakti. But being able to connect into that in the days that we are alive in right now, where there's such a crisis of meaning, there's such a crisis of people don't know why we're here. People don't know why all this stuff is going on. There's like such apathy, so much depression. And I'm not trying to say that this will cure your depression, but it will definitely give you tools and anchors and beacons through this path that we are all on, and so there's also this quality of community and connection with each other, but also with something much larger than us. So I just want to say that it's so much more than a teacher training. It's like you get to just like really dive into being alive.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for many, many people, I think India and myself included, it changes the trajectory of your life. And it gives life a sense of genuine beauty and purpose and meaning. And life might not look that different from the outside in. From the inside out, it's like who I am now, based like compared to who I was 10 years ago. I don't even recognize myself. I recognize myself now. I don't recognize who I was 10 years ago because I was just so bogged down and heavy and confused. And these practices have just helped me strip away those layers of all of the stuff that I just didn't need to be carrying with me into something so much lighter and simpler and more beautiful, more nourished, much more aligned with love with a capital L, if that's a way to say it. When you were talking, it felt right to kind of go back to the way that Panditji, our teacher, opens his commentary on the Yoga Sutra, which is sort of the preeminent text that we study in a study of yoga. It was written about 2,200 years ago. And he says that human beings are an island of excellence. to be born human is the greatest gift, and to die without knowing that gift is the greatest loss. And yoga is a means for helping us to realize that gift and to lay claim to it.
Gold.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
With that, I'll say thank you to everybody for your willingness to just spend some time with us and allow us to share our hearts on the subject, and an invitation, if anyone is interested in just learning more without any pressure, you can reach out to either India or myself. We're happy to set up consultations, which are basically just chats where you can ask any questions that you might have. We're happy to share more information about our personal journeys with this wisdom, as well as the experience of the training. Yeah, we're beginning at the end of June, so we've got some time to get to know one another a bit before we officially kick off. So yeah, feel free to reach out. Anything else from you, India?
Nope, that's it. I'm here. I'm here if you want. Yep, I'm excited. I'm excited to do it. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, means I get to hang out with you all the time, which is
the best. Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, so very much. Hope to be in touch.
Thank you.